right, welcome to Gen X Rated Saturday edition. How we doing, Billy?
Oh, not too bad. Pretty good. I I was out walking today, and I try to walk like 4 or 5 days a week, and I go through this park. And about a month ago, I snapped a picture of some geese with their little geeslings, and I saw them again today, and those things grow so fast. They're almost as big as the adult geese.
It's literally only been 3 weeks now.
About a month.
All right, 4 weeks. Yeah, that's crazy. I
Yeah,
saw that photo. They were like teenagers.
yeah, but not unruly teenagers. They were all just kind of hanging out, pecking away at the grass.
Yeah, even the adult ones aren't too unruly. I mean, we see them crossing the road all the time, and they go at their pace, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's their
They
world.
do.
It's kind of
It
crazy.
is, but just don't get too close because they will come after you.
You ever been bit by a duck?
Never been bit, but chased.
They just kind of close on you. They do seem to have little tiny jagged maybe teeth in there. I don't know what it is,
Hmm.
but it's kind of funny. It's like when I was little and I would hit you and you'd just laugh because I was so much smaller. Similar idea with the ducks.
Yeah, I think the geese have a mean streak, though.
Really? That's the bad side of the family.
Well, if they feel threatened, yeah, if you get too close to their little baby geese, they will come after you aggressively.
Like a bear. Sheesh.
Hmm.
Well, I'm glad you came out unscathed. That
I
was
did,
we wouldn't be doing this today without you. Okay.
but I'm glad to see they're doing well, growing
Yeah,
up.
I'm
They
sure they
grow
are.
up so fast.
I know it's crazy. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know what their lifetime, how long they live anyway. Really?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think they have a pretty decent lifespan.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope so. Right up there with our birds from yesterday. We're just keeping you updated on nature.
That's right.
We'll come back with the downside of that later with the eggs. So far, so good. Um, I think we should probably start with some of what went on in LA last night.
Yeah.
ICE came out and really got after it. From what I saw, I guess the business owner actually was able to lock them into the business. I saw some video of ICE agents being basically surrounded. They had their little shields up and they were waiting for LAPD to come because they were kind of stuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people have had enough. This is unacceptable what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, you don't know who's coming for you. We've seen enough instances where you had cosplay people trying to pick up people and taking them and doing things that maybe they shouldn't be, nefarious such things. I mean,
Hmm.
come on, present yourself. Now, Homeland Security guy comes out and says, "Hey, we're hiding our face because you woke people put out their identification and put their families within risk, et cetera, et cetera." But this is kind of like the argument where if you're not doing anything wrong, why are
Yeah.
you so concerned about the cameras? Well, take your mask off, friend.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and some of these they're just January 6th thugs who have
And
been pardoned.
that was confirmed by Nome under oath, had to say that.
Hmm.
Um, so the riot gear come out, LAPD. They call it an unlawful protest after 7 p.m. Then they start with the shock bombs and stuff, and just start. I mean, some of these guys are pretty intense, coming at you. I mean, not only putting people on the ground, but a lot more physicality and just threats. When you
Oh
see the
yeah,
big guns come out, it's a little concerning.
it's a
Uh,
lot concerning.
Here's one here. And they're not afraid to just put it in your face. Now, I don't know what these canisters are. I see a lot of zip ties. I see a lot of billy clubs. And that green thing that shoots canisters, I think could probably kill you if you were close enough.
I would bet. I bet it would do some damage.
I may be wrong, but it's not something I would want to be hit by.
No, you don't want to be on the wrong end of that.
I do appreciate that people are coming out and, making their feelings known. Um, Due process is huge, right? That might be nice.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is going to get ugly because, the more that people start to push back, the more Trump and his gang of thugs will say, well, they're radicals. We must be protected from the radicals. And then,
And we have enough chickens in this country that we'll be like, oh, yes, whatever you have to do.
and so, it's just, where does this end? Is Is it going to, escalate to the point where they're firing live ammunition on the crowds?
God, I hope not.
I mean, it's happened before. It happened at Kent State. It happened at Jackson State.
Yeah.
So who's to say? I mean, Trump is unhinged, and really, there's no rule.
Let's hope he's taking these 2 days to soothe himself on the golf course. Get back down to Mar-a-Lago and do your thing.
Yeah, I just don't know. And it's him and just these cronies that he's appointed, the people that are following him. The Christy Gnomes, the Tom Homans. These people are dangerous. They're dangerous individuals.
You haven't heard much about Homan in the last week, I think basically because it was pointed out that he was taking money from private prison industry and as an advisor.
Yeah.
Seems kind of sketch, but they put him away for a little bit, but he'll be back. Don't worry.
Oh, he'll be back. I think he's going about arguing for arming all of those right-wing nut jobs that already have taken it upon themselves, and they've been doing this for years. They take it upon themselves to patrol the southern border. So he wants to deputize them.
Yeah, and they already rules of engagement are already involved down there, so that you can shoot to kill if you need to. One final thing on the LA deal: the labor leader of the SEIU, which is the Service Employees International Union,
yeah,
David Huerta. He was detained during the raids in LA. He was actually detained. Injured a bit. I don't know that it was that serious. But again, between the pepper spraying and the clubs coming out, he was taken into custody. And, that's a pretty big union. We've talked about them before, just on the financial side of it. But you're talking about a mass amount of people. So we'll see how this goes. You mentioned Holman and all the other deputizing, etc. I wanted to go back to Garcia because he was obviously in the news. They brought him back. Of course, you have to keep the nuance of Trump never being wrong. So they couldn't say, "Hey, we brought him back for being good people." They brought him back under some charges out of Tennessee, saying that he wasn't a good person. Just trying to find where he is.
Some pretty sketchy charges. I mean, so they're charging him with human trafficking.
They're charging him with human trafficking. Yes. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And in that regard, you would think it would have to do something with sexual trafficking, because that's kind of what we generally deal with. But in this dispute, because they're foreigners, I guess, whatever you want to call them, immigrants, undocumented, they're making it in that he was recruiting and kidnapping small children to indoctrinate them into MS-13, right?
Yeah.
So we take these kids and we're going to train them to be terrorists, which, I mean, come on. It's like you can't even make this stuff up. It's just crazy. Yeah. Here he is right here with his, he's probably grooming this person as well.
I mean, they're just literally making this shit up. Pam Bondi is despicable. And, these people will just lie. And listen, this can happen to anybody. If they want to charge anybody with anything, they will find a reason and they will twist it and they will lie. And, and then the burden is on you to, if you're given the opportunity for due process, which is, it's a crapshoot now. I mean, this country, this democracy is eroding by the hour, by the day. This is disgusting. It's disturbing. And it's going to get ugly. But it's going to have to, because otherwise you can't just give into this. These people are pushing way too far. And again, we keep saying one of the provisions they've hidden in the big, beautiful ball-busting bill is a provision to make Trump and all of his his regime above the rule of law, essentially, where federal court decisions don't apply to them.
That's right.
And that's the only thing. That's the only thing that's holding this back right now is the federal court.
Yeah.
We certainly cannot count on the John Roberts court to uphold anything. So, that's just one more reason this bill, we've got to make sure we don't allow them to get this bill passed.
Yeah, maybe if more people read it, it would help that are in our government. Maybe they would have had some more pushback before just taking the big bill, and then it went to the Senate to make it beautiful. Then it goes back to the House to pass. Um, so Garcia is charged in Tennessee for smuggling undocumented people and conspiracy to commit the crime of smuggling. He did appear in federal court in Nashville yesterday. His arraignment is set for 6/13, which would be a week later. Keep in mind, he's not going home to see his family. Not only has he spent time at Hotel El Salvador, but now he'll stay in federal custody in Tennessee. Again, due process means that you have a chance to defend yourself before you're punished, not after. A little too late for Mr. Garcia. The whole grooming thing is just horrendous to me, but whatever. The keywords, grooming, smuggling, it all works. So then Trump comes out and says, oh, he's got a horrible past. We have to show what a horrible person he is. Meanwhile, I guarantee the orange guy doesn't know shit about Shinola, for one.
Well, he's a guy with a horrible past and the history of grooming.
And yeah, whole different subject. We better avoid that one on Saturday because, oh my God. With the Epsteins. The attorney of 15 years in Nashville, he was the chief of the criminal division. He resigned yesterday because he's not on board with this. It seems like trumped up charges, so to speak. I will remind you that Bondi, 70 legal experts filed complaints citing serious misconduct and Trump bias against her. We'll see where that goes. She's very cartoonish at this point. I mean, it's just crazy. You see her at any event and she's stroking whoever's in the crowd based on Trump. And we will talk about this because Rolling Stone dropped that article where they're spending $1 billion to pump up and make Trump happy. $1 billion. It could be anything. I have some examples. We'll circle back to that.
But we're going to cut all of that from social services like Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP. We're all going to cut that because it's too expensive. We can't afford it. But we can spend $1 billion to soothe the fucking ego of this orange fucking skin bag.
Yeah, $1 billion effort to make him feel good about himself. It really doesn't have anything to do with us. Let me put Mr. Feelgood up there. Where is he? So many devilish people out here. I can't even find the worst one. Oh, here he is. Here's old Trumpy Bear. We're getting ready for that big parade. It's going to be awesome. There was a $200 million through the Department of Homeland Security campaign just praising Trump. He really liked that. This military parade is going to cost tens of millions of dollars. We probably won't know the true cost because we don't need to know. Obviously the $1 billion luxury jet from Qatar. I mean, all these things are about stroking Trump. In fact, on that 14th, when they do his military parade, they'll be closing the DC airport because, why not? Why not close it up? You got plans to go through there? Did you make your travel plans months ago? You'll be flying somewhere else.
Yeah, tough shit. We'll reroute you through Newark.
Yeah, why not that? I want to put up some of these other photos. I mean, this to me is just kind of weird. To see that, this tank in that context, it's just weird.
It's very weird.
Trump obviously is a weirdo. Whoops. But I just find it kind of off-putting. Obviously, this is going to go on. It's going to be next week. Next week on the 14th is also No King's Day, which we talked about as we get closer. We'll start putting out some information where it might be in your community or where you can find information in your community about it.
It's a week from today.
Should be pretty big. We'll be in California, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll be our happy place. I don't know.
Well, it shouldn't be hard to find a protest there.
I would think so too, and rightfully so. So that gets rid of Trump for now. I wanted to talk about off the offshoot of them deputizing these people. There was a story about a neo-Nazi group that I wanted to put up real quick and talk about briefly. They're called the Base. and they've been around for a while. You and I had talked about this under Obama. I mean, we went after white supremacy. We went after all of the stuff in our country that we could control. Obviously, you can't control the stuff around the world necessarily. Maybe if you had VOA working, you could, but that's not a thing anymore.
No.
So we're not really that interested. But this group is in Ukraine currently. We did arrest several of them many years ago when it did matter. I guess this is their insignia. The base is known to be a hate group. The Ronaldo Nazaro was the person that founded this. It was 2018. He was a former Pentagon contractor. And take a guess where he lives.
Russia.
Russia. Excellent guess. So yeah, he's living in St. Petersburg currently, but he's got this group that's really taking shape, and it's taking shape in our own backyard, which to me is kind of insane. Well, there's James Mason. I mean, these guys are just armed from the photos you can see, armed. And then they have a lot of ex-military, and they do a lot of training. Again, this is in our country. So this was after the FBI crackdown, because we're not interested in that anymore. Kash Patel will tell you we're not prioritizing white supremacy, not really an issue, only those things that are affecting national security will we look into. But they're planning an upcoming national training event. And you had mentioned how they were in Ukraine doing little sabotage events over there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they're aiding the Russian war effort by, doing sabotage events in Ukraine behind the lines. I mean, they're despicable. These are shitty people. And they're full-on Nazis. These are white supremacists. They're Nazis. And and they want to build a training. They've already bought land in Oregon. They want to build a training center here, and they want to make it mainstream. Hey, you hate everybody too? Come on, let's get trained.
Yeah, they did. He bought a bunch of land for a base in the Pacific Northwest. They already had felony charges against these groups in Michigan and Georgia, where they were pretty big. Michigan, not surprising. Let's go get the governor next type of thing. And this really came about because once they saw Trump was going to win or take the election.
Take's a good word.
They know his administration has no interest in policing white supremacy. So they figured, let's ramp it up. Like, now's our time to shine. So it's something really to be aware of. They're not your friendly neighbors, and they really are here to do harm, mainly to our democracy.
And so is Trump. That whole regime is here to do harm to the democracy. They hate democracy. And it's amazing the amount of Americans that really think authoritarian rule is the way to go, that we don't need democracy. It doesn't work. It's so disturbing on so many levels, and it just has to be pushed back against. And it's just ironic, the FBI, well, we're not interested in this sort of thing. They haven't committed any, that's what they said. They haven't committed any crimes. We only go after people who've already committed crimes. And, let me remind you, the FBI is headed by a gentleman with brown skin.
Kash Patel.
Patel, crazy eye Kash. So you really think these people, if you're not the head of the FBI, you really think they're not going to come after you too, Kash Patel? You're not, you are not in their club. They are not your friend.
He's kind of a superstar, though. He was on Rogan yesterday, and news was dropping about the Epstein video and all the Musk stuff talking about Trump. And he really didn't know anything about it. He wasn't going to discuss any of that stuff. And it's like, why are you on a podcast in the middle of the day when you're supposed to be like you were head of two branches, now you're head of the FBI, and what are you doing, man?
That guy doesn't do anything.
I guess
he does nothing.
Limited hockey games to go see, I guess. And Wayne's a little busy. I guess they can't hang out anymore.
Yeah, can't be hanging out with Wayno anymore.
Terrible. So to that point, I was going to put up the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, since we're talking a little bit about Musk and the Dogers. Everybody loves Doge. Most of those guys are following Musk out the door, but they're still here. So not to worry.
Oh yeah, Big Balls is still here, getting that giant government paycheck.
And getting paid. Well, it came out that they were using AI to see where waste was, in particular with the Veterans Affairs. And the problem was that they were just using the first 10,000 characters, which is about 2,500 words. If you've seen any kind of research or any kind of grant proposal, they're pretty in depth. It takes a little bit of reading. They're sectioned off, etc. To look at the first 2,500 words and think you know something. Maybe it's different if you're a person and you get a feel for it, but to just have a AI doing it, it's a little bit of a problem. It wasn't.
There's no context.
You're exactly right. So they really just didn't. None of it was clear to them. So there were hundreds of contracts valued at millions of dollars that they just canceled. They didn't, in inputting to these models, they just didn't clarify definitions of many of the critical terms. So this model may be amazing, but it's only as amazing as you supply the knowledge for it. And it had none of it. One example, the model was told to kill DEI programs, but if they failed to define what DEI was. So they left it up to the, for them to just come up with whatever. I mean, you're pulling things out of thin air, and you're talking about funding for people that were veterans and served this country. I mean, it's insane. Yeah. It's insane.
And yet these are the GOP and Trump. They're still the people that we love the veterans. We'll back the veterans all the time. We love them. Oh no, we love them, folks. They're the greatest. I mean, it's so hypocritical. It's such bullshit.
They used an older model of AI that wasn't suited for this. So the numbers were just kind of made up. Tens of millions were just cast aside just because it either had a dollar sign. So in the end, 875 contracts were canceled related to safety inspection at the VA. That's direct communication with veterans. That's about veteran benefits. It's about the ability to recruit doctors because, do we need the best and brightest for these guys? They already served. They're probably old and dim-witted anyway. Am I right?
Yeah, just get some interns in there.
And then they use cool words like munch. Can we munch on that? And that just means cancel.
Oh.
So if you want
they're supposed to be smart.
Yeah, well, again, only as smart as what you input. So basically, the veterans feel like what is happening is that they're trying to weaken this institution, ultimately to gut it and privatize it, right? So
yeah, that's their goal for everything. They want to privatize everything.
Yes, and where was that stated for this particular thing? Back to the project of 2025, right? I mean, it's never that far away. And again, we're screwing our veterans. I mean, these guys already put in their time. These guys maybe were around the burn pits of Iraq. Like, let's do something for them as opposed to just waiting for them to die off.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It is. It's really grotesque. But as we talked about the other day, I mean, sometimes with this administration, cruelty is the thing. We kind of like it. Gives us a bit of an edge, even though none of us are tough guys in this country because we're just not. I'm going to start with this gentleman here, Dr. Oz. I'm sure you remember Dr. Oz. I mean, he was a famous heart surgeon.
Oh, yeah. Counterpart to Dr. Nick.
So when they talk about Medicaid and they say, hey, you're kicking people off Medicaid, this is not a good thing. Dr. Oz says things like, prove that you deserve care, right? Prove that you matter. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. Go out, get an entry-level job, get into the workforce, show that you matter. A lot of people do predicate who they are based on their job and what they do, but that shouldn't be the end-all be-all to say if you get health care.
No, healthcare should be a universal right. I mean, that's why physicians take the Hippocratic Oath. It's not to to treat and help people who have jobs or who count. Everybody's included. These people are they're despicable. They are just despicable, disgusting human beings, and they hate people.
And I was going to, James Langford, we talked about on the last podcast. He was the guy from Oklahoma, the representative Republican, who said, oh, we're just transitioning you off Medicaid into private healthcare with your job. First of all, you got to find that job. And second of all, we talked about the statistics. It's less than half small businesses that offer healthcare, less than half of corporations that offer healthcare. There's always ways around that as well. So that's a lie. I'll put him up briefly. This guy again, CBO projections come out. 11 million people are going to lose their coverage, up to 15. He says CBO is garbage. Oh, bunch of woke people at the CBO. Come on. How are you going to trust that? And then I'm going to jump to, because it continues. I mean, this is all the rationale. Here's this guy who everybody knows has special feelings.
Oh, God.
Losing healthcare, he said, would spur people to improve themselves and they'd be better off. Okay.
How do you improve yourself when you're suffering from cancer or a chronic illness? How do you improve yourself when you're just, too sick to get off the couch? These people are such hypocrites. And I mean, it's so visible. It's so hard to miss. They do not care. They really don't care. They don't think anybody who's not in their club matters or has a right to matter. And it's just so disturbing. Yet they like to call themselves Christians. And that is just the most twisted and just disgusting, take on Christianity that I've ever seen. It's just ridiculous, but it's become a powerful movement. You're seeing a lot more of it now. These people are popping up everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and he's saying, don't be alarmed by what we're doing. It's right. It's okay to fire people. Work is good for you, and you find your dignity when you work. Again, a lot of this Medicaid goes to people that are disabled. They're not able to work. Proving your worth type of thing just only adds to the disrespect that you're giving these people that need help and can't get help. So they're getting it through the federal government.
Yeah. So let's see these people. Let's see Mike Johnson prove his worth. What's he worth? Would the world continue to turn without Mike Johnson?
He's worth zero. Remember, he's got no accountability as to any financial monies.
And yet he's living in a $7,000 a month townhouse, luxury townhouse in DC. I mean, seriously.
With another gentleman.
Yeah, the world will continue to turn, and it'll spin quite well without these people. I mean, they think that they are so worthy, so above everybody, and it's just they're not.
You give me a great.
What are they doing anything? Where are they compared to the people that that go out and do plumbing, electrician, pick up the trash, make this world a better place? Just the small things that have to be done every day, and
they don't recognize that at all.
No, they really don't. They don't care. They're just so out of touch and so judgmental, and they're horrible people.
Let me put up this last person. I'm sure you heard about this.
Yeah.
Joni Ernst. Not only was she sexually assaulted, but still voted for Hegseth to be our head of the Pentagon. But she followed up with, people are going to die. We're all going to die. Very callous. For heaven's sake, folks, was what she said. People will die. Yes, she gets that, but it doesn't really matter because she has great health care.
She's got great health care. And, and people, yeah, we're all going to die, but people are going to die sooner because they don't have access to health care. And they don't have access to the things that they need to get healthy or stay healthy. And, dude, she's got the worst case of Stockholm syndrome ever. I mean, she's a veteran. She's a victim of sexual assault, and yet she just goes right along with the program. All is well. It's fine.
All is well.
Yeah. Horrible people.
She's pretty terrible. I'm hoping on the next time that these people come up for election that there will be a difference made and they will no longer be serving this country. But we got a ways to get there. And
well, let's see if there is another election.
Oh my God.
First of all.
Very good.
Let's not take that as a given.
Very true. That's why it's kind of one day at a time, to your point. We talked the other day about ground meat. We talked a little bit about eggs as well. I'm going to pop this up. Seems like I'm not seeing it on the AMA YouTube. I think they only update that once a week. But here's your update on egg recalls through the USDA. Almost 2 million eggs, 9 different states, salmonella. It's the cage-free brown certified organic eggs. They're in California through Walmart. This is through Walmart, which a lot of people use. California, Washington State, Nevada, Arizona, Wyoming, New Mexico, Nebraska, Indiana, and Illinois. So all kinds of, Save Mart, Food Max, Lucky, Safeway, Ralph's, Food for Less. If you bought any of these eggs, throw them out. And it's through the August Egg Company. Don't take a chance. It's not worth it. We showed the symptoms for salmonella yesterday.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
Avoid it. And then to that end, we've got the new variant of COVID. It was pretty big in China. Of course, we don't really test here. It's not really our thing. But it is, this new variety is accounting for about 10% of SARS-CoV-2. It used to be 2.5%. Now we're up to 10% in just 4 weeks. They're not really sure what's going on with this. It won't appear anywhere that they have to put it on a dashboard as far as any of these websites, because they're saying there's less than 20 cases in our country. I seem to remember Trump talking about all the cases were on a cruise ship. Here are the symptoms for that: fever, cough, chills, shortness of breath, body aches, runny nose, sore throat, loss of sense of smell or taste. You don't have to test if you don't want to, but be aware these are the symptoms. If you feel fatigue, usually lasts about a week. Most people will be okay. The booster, the CDC, this will increase transmittability and potentially have a little longer effects. But if you got the first set of boosters for COVID, it should help. You should not have a problem. If you're an anti-vaxxer and didn't go for the shot, then be aware. These are some symptoms you might be getting.
Yeah, well, get out there and spread it around.
Spread it to all your friends. So that's your update on your health situation. Dr. Oz says, get a job. You'll feel better about yourself. Prove your worth. I'm saying don't get sick. And if you are feeling sick, put a mask on. Try not to spread it to everybody, please.
Yeah, seriously. And you know what? Fuck you, Dr. Oz.
I can't even believe he won. I mean, at least he got pasted when he ran for governor, was it?
Oh, yeah. No, Senate. Senate.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he got pasted because people dislike him. And he's a weaselly prick. But,
Yeah.
you know, there's always a spot for those kind of people in this regime.
Yeah. Well, just look at Linda McMahon. I mean, I just never seen anybody less qualified. She said, well, we should have ways to check these statistics. And he's like, you already have it. You just choose not to look at them.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I'll have to look at that. And then, they keep passing her note cards. And finally, the representative's like, you can read those cards later. Like, I'm just trying to ask you yes, no questions here. Like,
yeah,
really embarrassing. But she's condescending too. It comes with the wealth and the entitlement, I guess, because she has a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
On this fine Saturday, I wanted to bring up this topic. It's the Department of Labor has a women's bureau. Now, the Women's Bureau has been around since 1920. It advocates for equality of women in the workforce. This is through Congress. So that's usually a good thing because it takes Congress generally to get rid of things. But Rubio's decided as of July 1st, this needs to go away. So
little Marco,
if you
selling
look at,
out again.
And if you look at the DOGE cuts, the Department of Labor, their fiscal year budget for 2026, the Women's Bureau is gone. So you can say you're not getting rid of it, which the statement was made 30 days ago that was not going to be something that was going to go away. Lori Shaver, who's the Secretary of Labor, said this was not going to go away. But now they kind of feel it's a relic of the past, ineffective policies. And it goes to the dislike of women, is how I feel.
Well, just like the Voting Rights Act, we don't need that anymore.
Yeah, because why? I mean, they were there for a reason. They had a purpose, and now we take that away, and then we go backwards, 100 years, it would seem.
Yeah.
In this case, 105 years. I mean, it's crazy. So I guess we'll kind of see where this falls out. But it was super helpful to women in the workplace. It protected them. It gave them rights. It gave them equality. And apparently their feeling is it just doesn't align with with Trump's wishes.
Yeah, because they don't want women in the workplace. They want women at home. They want trad wives pumping out babies, and they want manly men that go to work in a factory every day and they come home and their wives are happy to see them. And let's go back to the
Howard
1950s.
Lutnick, I'm hearing. Boy, that sounded a lot like the old nut licker.
Yeah, that's what these idiots want.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, and the fact that white women voted for this is just baffling to me.
Well, Trump said he would. He's the women's president. Like he'll keep them safe. They're going to be happy. Vote for me. Aren't you happy?
And some of them are, sadly, but I can't see how or why.
It's pretty insane. But again, this is another stab at women. This is again another shot at taking them out of the workforce. Some of those white women that voted for this were those DEI hires. So you take away their DEI status, whatever the heck that means. I can't figure it out. And now you take away any support that they have. It's going to be tough to stay in the workforce with this administration anyway, or regime, as you call it.
This regime, yeah. I'm telling you, we're just going backwards and we're isolating ourselves from the rest of the world.
Nobody else thinks like this. This isn't the 40s and 50s America. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's the good old days that Trump remembers, and that's where he's dragging us back to. And these people are more than willing to let him go along with it.
Well, and we always talk about if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it, et cetera. Obviously, we didn't make that up. But my point being that when we talked about the end of World War II, 1945, and then we start looking at like our childhood in the 70s, 75, that was 30 years after the Second World War, which was a major deal, right? Now we look at this timeline that's gone. We're in the 2025. You want to go back? That's 1995 would be 30 years from today. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of blows my mind that it seemed like so long ago at the time. Oh, World War II. Who would have thought? As you pointed out before, there was no guarantee we were going to win that war at the time. Terrifying. And I feel like we're kind of. I mean, everybody compares us to the frog in the warm water that's heating up, but I kind of feel like your mind says, oh, that was so long ago, it couldn't happen again. And here we are. And it's a longer time than what I thought was a long time. It's even longer. So it's definitely concerning and a little unknown territory, at least for our generation, I would think.
Yeah, no, we're definitely in uncharted territory, and that water is starting to boil. It's getting hot. And again, yeah, there's no telling. People were like, well, when they write the history of this, you don't know who's going to write that history.
Yeah.
The people that have the power write the history. And there's no guaranteed outcome to this.
For sure.
There's a lot of ways this can go, and most of them are bad. And again, it's going to be up to us and people like us that, believe in democracy and justice and the Constitution to stand up to this and make sure that does not happen.
And I think the reality is there's a lot of us that follow that lead. We just have to make sure that we're not hiding behind something. You got to step forward and you got to make it known, and people will join you, but they need to know that there's numbers. I mean, not everybody's going to want to be that first person putting their foot out there, but it has to be done. And that's why I thought LA was such a great example yesterday of coming out and saying, hey, present yourself. Why are you here? What are you doing this for? Who are you?
Oh, yeah. Why are you wearing body armor to take away some poor guy who's washing dishes and waiting tables?
Exactly. So I guess we'll see. But historically, it seems like, we could be on the verge of something big, and we need to be paying attention, to say the very least.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll jump to a lighter note because this did happen today. And it is Saturday, but I'm going to put this up for you, Billy. Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Keep in mind.
He's signed, sealed, and delivered. He'll be there at a minicamp on Monday.
Is that when it starts, on Monday?
Or maybe it's Tuesday, but yeah, it starts next week.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was Thursday, so I was kind of surprised that he was in town so early, but looked like he was ready to go. I mean, and I'm not excited by that. I'm just saying I'm glad he's in town. I'm glad we can stop talking about when he's coming to town.
Yeah.
I did hear inside the locker room they were pretty excited to have him. He's not the end-all, be-all, but like we talked about, he does make the quarterback room better. There's no chance he'll be wearing number 12. That's not a
Yeah,
thing.
that can't happen.
Your favorite punter, Whitman, wears number 8. So I know that the Steelers signed that boomer of a kicker from, was he in Buffalo? No, he was in Houston. He tore up his knee last year. He was killing it in camp. I think he got hurt in what, first game, second game?
First game, yeah.
First game, blew out his knee. He's back and booming the ball. But they had a good fill-in last season, this Whitman, and he did really well for them. He had a couple bad punts over the course of the year that was painful, but he's wearing number 8. So my point is he's probably not going to make the team because they're big free agent punchers back. But if Rodgers wants that number, he could probably get a nice little chunk of change for it.
Probably so, although he doesn't have a whole lot of leverage as the backup punter.
Whatever.
So, he might get a 6-pack. We'll see.
I was thinking thousands of dollars, okay?
Maybe. We'll see, I guess. Just we'll see how generous Mr. Rogers is feeling.
Well, and they say Mr. Rogers is in the neighborhood, so he's got high standards to hold up because Fred Rogers was amazing.
That's right.
So I'm not going to call that a happy ending, but it is a little bit lighter. I do want to jump to a happy ending if I can find it. What sign we're going to use today for the happy ending? I think we'll go with the floating hand if I can find that. One of my favorites. Now everything's
floating hand.
Now everything is here's floating hand. It's iStock, but what can I do about that? There you go, iStock. You get credit at the iStock. All about it. My happy ending today is about the reefs. It's pretty concerning to watch them get bleached. I know you were at the in Australia. You went to the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have actually seen it in its glory before it started to bleach out. Amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Fantastic. I took a trip to dive in Fiji, and you could see just dying coral, and it was not as immaculate and amazing as what you said. I guess people go there for sharks, which nobody told me. I wasn't thrilled, but again, to the part, I love the Caribbean. I love the coral. It's amazing, but we are killing it. We're killing it through all kinds of means. I mean, get on a cruise ship, and where do you think that laundry detergent's going? Where do you think your fecal waste is going? You think they're really not releasing that into the oceans?
Yeah, man, don't even get me started on the cruise ship industry.
We'll save that for another Saturday.
Yeah.
But in Florida, here's some bleached coral just as an example. It's pretty noticeable, but this started in 2014. It started damaging coral in Florida. They've been testing probiotics, which could save the Caribbean, which is at risk for this same type of, let me see if I have a picture of the coral. I really don't. Okay, we'll go with it. Nonetheless, so probiotics, which you often hear are good for your stomach gut health. It's kind of a rage that people appreciate in the health industry. It's in yogurt. It's live bacteria and yeast. And again, it's good for your gut health. I don't really know the science, so I'm not going to claim to know it. But they're taking this and applying it like a bacterial probiotic treatment onto the coral. And this is a 6-year study. And what they're finding is that it helps prevent the tissue loss of these coral. Not to mention it slowed the spread of SCTLD. And I had to write that down. Stony coral tissue loss disease is what they call it. But it's preventing it, it's slowing it, and it's keeping the coral alive, which is pretty amazing. Currently, they just use like antibiotics on it, which you can imagine, as we're always told, like eventually they become resistant to antibiotics. So this is a whole different approach with the probiotics to kind of save the reefs, which would be phenomenal because, anybody that, snorkels or gets to see those tiny fish, anybody that appreciates Nemo, you want them to have a place to live. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that was my happy ending, to know that we're actually doing something and maybe finding a way to not kill the reefs. I think that's pretty exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah, that's good to see.
So let's keep that up. I know it sounds a little sciencey, and I don't want to come off as a nerd or anything, but come on, man. Science has gotten us this far.
We need science. Yeah. Otherwise, we're back to leeches and boiling oil. So yeah, it's we need science. Science is important.
I'll have that castor oil sent right to your house. You'll feel better.
Castor oil, it's making a come. Well, cod liver oil is making a comeback, but
Well, that's true. That's only if you have measles. RFK Jr. Recommended that. Only because we brought up his name. I saw some video yesterday. Was the anniversary of his father's murder. Is that correct? The assassination.
yeah,
Saw his speech at the LA hotel, and gosh dang it, it could be yesterday or today. This things he was talking about,
Yeah.
inequality, getting things right, joining with the middle class and the people. Here we are again. That was 65,
68.
68. Okay, so
Yeah, it was short. It was just months after the assassination of MLK. And
also
the day
had-
that MLK was assassinated,
go ahead.
the day that MLK was assassinated, RFK was in, I think he was in Indianapolis, and he went out and he addressed the community to tell them the news of MLK's assassination, and not so much to calm them down because there wasn't much to be done, but just to share with them what had happened, the magnitude that, there were white people that cared. This was a tragedy, and there were also white people that applauded it. And
Sure.
but yeah, all I can say is RFK Jr. That apple fell far from the tree because he is not even a tenth of the man that his father was.
Clearly
And
somebody picked up that apple and then just threw it.
yeah, and you know what? It was half rotten anyway for some reason, just totally defective.
The worm in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the genetics weren't as strong, or maybe he just soured over time. But I just thought the message was similar to MLK. It was about wage inequality. It was about equal rights for people, and that stuff's always dangerous to the powers that be. So I guess he had to go. It's a shame, but I just thought, again, it was what I saw was in black and white, and it was not that it was that long ago. They didn't have color, but my point being. It's not that long ago. 68. I mean, I think it sounds like forever ago, even when I was younger. But
Yeah, it's not.
And we're back, baby.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we might have to start with the wage inequality because it's really killing us, so to speak.
Well, it's gonna literally kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you can't afford healthcare and if there's going to be nothing provided, and the powers that be don't think you deserve it because you're just a peon. This is so un-American.
Well, and that went right to the get an entry level job. I mean, it's so offensive on so many levels. You can't, even as you have a master's degree, you can't just go out and they'll say, oh, well, you're too overqualified for entry level, but we don't have anything that suits you. So how do you even get that? If you're qualified, you can't get it because you're overqualified. And if you're not qualified, you're not getting it anyway. So it's like a real catch-22.
Well, here's something. Entry-level jobs don't offer healthcare generally. If you're the entry-level jobs they're talking about are maybe working at Walmart, or clerking or something. A lot of those don't offer any
service
kind of
industry for sure.
Yeah.
We don't want to pay you minimum wage either.
Yeah, they're just out of touch. They're completely out of touch.
Well, and that's going to be rough for the rest of us that aren't.
Well, maybe if a national strike would get their attention.
4% not going to work will make a difference.
Yeah, that's all it takes. So, and the SEIU is it's a large union.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in California, I mean, they talked about cutting funding to California, and the real question is, okay, so you don't want to fund these programs through the federal government for California. Does California still have to participate in giving their surplus back to the red states?
Yeah, because California's got a bigger economy than most of these other states.
Yes. Well, their GDP is what, fourth largest in the world.
The world,
which is amazing. Don't fuck with California. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they bring in a ton of cash, and they support a lot of red states, which we could probably name 8 to 10 that run a deficit religiously.
Yeah, very true.
Uncle Bill, anything happy in the 50th minute?
Let's see. I'm not going to take a rage walk after building up a healthy rage, but I will get to go to the gym and do a rage lift. So,
Okay,
yeah.
excellent. Well, I hope you feel better after that, and I appreciate your time on Saturday. I know it was a little rushed today, but as always, good catching up with you
Yeah.
and sharing.
Share the rage.
Well, the information becomes, an education, and it becomes power when you know what you're talking about and
Well,
you're
yeah.
aware of
No,
what's
knowledge
actually
is power. So that is important.
So we're going to keep trying to do our part anyway.
Yes.
All right, Billy. Well, I will definitely catch up with you later.
All right, buddy. Good job.
All right. Nice job today. Talk to you soon. See ya.